Go ahead and go.
Good morning, I'm Division Chief Ron Thomas here to provide a brief initial update on a critical incident that occurred here at 20th and Larimer. What I understand at this time is that at about 1:30 officers were in the area due to the load of our out crowd. The officer's attention was drawn to a disturbance involving an armed party. Officers moved toward that location and confronted the armed party, who then posed a significant threat. Officers discharged their weapons, and the party went down. Officers immediately began to render aid. At this time, they also became aware of other individuals within the crowd who had been injured as a result of this incident.
Denver Division Chief there, Ron Thomas, describing a shooting scene that happened in the city, and it seems pretty horrific. There was multiple people injured. They were taken care of. Nobody died though, good news there. Did you guys catch what happened at all from that mundane speech? That very quiet, potentially seemingly scared speech? I can tell you what happened. And I can tell you why he didn't tell you what happened. Denver police injured 5 bystanders when they opened fire in the busy lower downtown nightlife district as bars closed early on Sunday, shooting a man that they allege pointed a gun at officers. Now those bystanders, 3 women and 2 men, were either shot by police or injured with shrapnel from officers' bullets. Denver police said in a news conference on Sunday afternoon. All 5 are expected to survive. So they said they thought they saw a gun on potential suspect and randomly started firing. Guess who they hit? Not the suspect, or if they did, they got 5 other people with them as well. So let's watch more of this explanation about what happened and see if you can find out him telling you any information.
At this time, they also became aware of other individuals within the crowd who had been injured as a result of this incident. Several ambulances were called to treat the victims and transport them to the hospital. The suspect is currently listed in critical condition, and the other victims are listed in serious condition.
So those individuals became injured as a result of the incident. They became injured as a result of some bullets hitting them. We don't know where those bullets came from. Actually, let's not even talk about bullets. They just became injured. There's a pre-existing condition. Sometimes when you leave a nightclub late on a Saturday, you become injured by shrapnel and bullets that just happen to be flying because this is America. Let me tell you actually what they were looking for and what they were chasing and why they actually weren't finding any of those things. After they witnessed an altercation involving a 21-year-old Jordan Waddy and 2 other men outside of the Larimer Beer Hall, one officer reported that Waddy grabbed at his waistband and said he lifted up his hoodie as though he was armed with a handgun. Several officers approached Waddy, according to the probable cause statement, and he began walking away. An officer reported seeing Waddy reach into his waistband again in a motion consistent with pulling out a firearm. And that's according to their document. And then one of the officers at that point said Waddy had a gun. That's again according to their statement. So the officer's wording about this whole thing is so vague, as you've been finding out here. But they looked at a guy, saw him potentially lift up his waistband and adjust his hoodie. We're talking about hoodies and waistbands from who knows what they did see, but it was consistent with pulling out a gun. Did you see a gun, or was it someone pulling up their pants? Or was it them adjusting their waistband, period? Because those things happen. I wasn't there, I don't know for sure, but what we do know is that he wasn't shooting at them. The probable cause statement doesn't describe the officers firing their weapons. Weird how that works. It reports that one officer, quote, heard 4 to 6 gunshots and observed Waddy fall to the ground. Then it notes that after the shots were fired, the officers began to render first aid to Waddy and several other victims who were injured during the shooting. The only reference to bystanders being caught in the line of police fire. So they did shoot him, and he wasn't shooting at them. We're gonna get to more details. What are your thoughts on the beginning of this here, Jackson?
So, over the last couple of months, starting with the top shooting in Buffalo, as this, the issue of gun violence has kind of returned to the mainstream political discussion. One of the things that I've really been thinking about is just, the fact that we really live in a country where people are always getting shot. And much of the focus that we have is on mass shootings or incidences like these that may just be kind of, considered to be out of the norm. But think about, places like where we come from in my upbringing. Every time I went out anywhere, people was getting shot. Over 20 people I grew up with were shot and killed. And many of these issues stem from poverty in crime-ridden neighborhoods where people just don't have access. And how many weapons are being sold on the streets due to, gun manufacturers are literally taking advantage of all of the systemic issues within our society to push guns through and get sold and used in some form or fashion. And one thing I've been pointing out on Rebel HQ is that the fact that the Senate just passed, we did pass some gun legislation. It was very light, but the fact that it was just passed makes new gun legislation that much harder to even get on the table at all, because hey, well, we already did something and look,
100%.
nothing's changing, so why do more? So it's just really a crazy situation we're in.
Well, and then also, by the way, this mass shooting was conducted by the police.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, with the same approach that we hear so many times when it comes to a suspect or him getting into an altercation and walking away and then pulling at his waistband. Again, an altercation with other folks, where does it then come into you, which I assume they were trying to do, murder this guy? Did he turn to them and say, F you cops, I'm gonna shoot you? Or look at them in any kind of way? Again, from the description I saw, maybe he spun around and looked their way in some direction or was still angry about the altercation he was in. But then I'm still looking for why your response is, let's go shooting. Again, at a busy downtown, whatever, area where multiple people are around. It's like they think they're in this tunnel and the only person that's there is their suspect.
Aren't they like, and again, it's like, aren't you trained or you haven't, like one of the first things you would think is to not shoot in a crowd, but hey, I guess they just had to stop him somehow. So.
Well, let's jump down to graphic 6 because I was looking for more and more explanation as to how, or response at least, or at least to the community about what happened. And again, why this latest police mass shooting happened. One person tweeted, so I saw a tweet saying DPD hit an innocent person shooting at the suspect. From this division chief's own briefing, it's kind of ambiguous. Understatement. Did DPD hit the additional victims, or did the shooter already attack? It's a tragedy either way. Here's a response from Denver Police Department. This is an active investigation into circumstances of the incident. In other words, we don't want to talk about it in case you guys keep asking. No, let's leave it alone. We don't want to talk about it. Are we gonna let them not talk about it? I'm sure those 6 victims to this shooting would like to have some answers and see if they're gonna continue this policy. Again, cops can always say we're gonna do something different, but until they do something different, should we believe them? We did a story yesterday about Rochester police saying they're doing something different, yet aggression still happens.